in an embedded system. Okay, one second. Okay, so today's topic will be on the real-time kernel system. We are continuing with that time management part. So we all know that how time management is very vital, important in the real-time application. Okay, that is the most important parameter in a real-time system we need to observe. Right. So why it is so important? Because it is always dependent on the results, right? So results it should be accurately in a timely manner. It should be announced or it should be released. So accurate time management is an essential for providing precise time reference for all application. The time reference to kernel is provided by a high resolution real-time clock RTC hardware chip. The hardware timer is programmed to interrupt the processor controller at a fixed rate. This timer interrupt is referred to as timer tick and it is given and it is taken as a timing reference by the kernel. The timer tick interval may vary depending on the hardware timer. Usually the timer tick varies in the microsecond range. The time parameter for the task are expressed in the multiples of this timer tick. So we'll take one example and we will see how we need to measure that one. Okay. So the system time is updated based on the timer tick. So if the system is of 32-bit register or a wide, right? So our ARM processor is also a 32-bit wide length. And the timer tick interval is 1 microsecond. Okay. Then system time register will reset in. So we have know how many bit register is our memory, which is of 32-bit length, and our timer tick interval is 1 microsecond. So from these two information, we need to able to calculate what is the system time. So we measure this 32-bit, how many value you will get. So you are going to get 2 power 32. See if it is a 8-bit, it is 2 power 8. If it is a 32-bit length, it is 2 power 32 combination or 2 power 32 is the thing which will come into picture. And it is 1 microsecond, so you are having 10 to the power of minus 6 seconds. Okay. Now 2 power 32 into 10 to the power of minus 6 divided by, so you will come to know in a day it is a 24, then in an hour 60 minutes, and 1 minute 60 seconds we are going to measure, and approximately it will be 0.049497 days, or it is approximately to 1.19 hours. So that is the system time required for execution of that time. So here whatever values it will be there, you are going to convert into 1 day 20 to 60 minutes 60-second that calculation. Similarly, if the timer tick is 1 millisecond, okay. Earlier it was 1 microsecond, now it is 1 millisecond. So it is 10 to the power of minus 3. So you are going to get approximately around 50 days or approximately, sorry, it is not 50 days here, approximated to 50 days, 49.7 days. Okay. So this days again you can convert into the hours also. That is not a thing. This is one simple example which he has given for the 32-bit data. Okay. So the timer tick interrupt is handled by the timer interrupt handler of the controller. The timer tick interrupt can be utilized for implementing the following actions. Say the current context, increment the system register by 1, update the timer implemented in kernel, activate the periodic tasks which are in idle state, invoke the schedule and schedule the task again based on the scheduling algorithm. Delete all the terminated tasks and their associated data structure. Load the contents of the first task in the ready queue. So what this operation will do when a timer tick is initiated. So whenever an interrupt or a timer tick is initiated, so first thing what we have to do is that whatever the existing data is here that needs to be saved. Okay. And increment the system time register by 1 means what? It needs to generate the system time information that I'm going to start measuring the time for this particular process. Okay, and update this timer implemented in the kernel, right? So indicating which register, which it is, whether it is counting down or whether it is a counting up. So how much time it was going to take. So we have seen if it is a 32 bit, it is 2 power 32. We are going to measure. Activate the periodic task. Okay, so which should be run, which should be executed. So these all things mandatory. It should be there. Okay, I'll just take an example of this. IA which we are doing now, right? So if there is my IA also, no need for me to intimate to you that IA is starting. Okay, so for this particular time, the session will start, right? But even then, I need to put a measure to you. But you take IA part. See today, if you are tomorrow you are having embedded system. So exactly at 3:30, your embedded system assignment IA question paper, it will pop up on your window and you have to start your IA. So no intimation, nothing. Prior only we will tell that it will open, it will be uploaded, it will be scheduled. Okay. Now also I have assigned a quiz for you people and the time I have given it as 10:40 to 11. So you have 20 minutes time. So already I have scheduled it. So when it is 10:40, everything it will pop up. Means what is the timing management which we are doing now. Okay. Invoke the scheduler and schedule the task again based on the scheduling algorithm. So there is a scheduling algorithm which is given for us. So I need to edit the time and all those stuff. Then it will be updated. So this is a one example. Load the context of the first task in the ready queue. So we need to know which is running, which is in idle state, which is processing, and all those information it should be clearly known. Next part is your hard real time. So real-time operating system that strictly adhere to the timing consent for a task are referred to as a hard real-time system. Now, which are the example for hard real-time system? First example which will come into mind is the ATM machine, right? So when I insert card, everything you input immediately it should respond. It will not wait. If I take a mobile phone, if I dial also, sometimes it will connect, sometimes it will not. So we have classification of a real-time system as two parameters. One is real-time system, one is hard real-time system. They must meet the deadlines for a task without any slippage. Missing any deadline may produce catastrophic results for hard real-time system, including permanent data loss and irrecoverable damages to the system user. Hard real-time emphasizes the principle a late answer is a wrong answer. Okay, that is what you can observe here. So we have scheduled assignment, we have given a deadline. Okay, so after finishing the deadline also still you are uploading, right? So for me it will coming is a turned in after 9 hours, turned in after 2 days. So for all those people I should put zero, right? But I'm not putting zero, I am putting minimum marks. Why? Because they have not submitted on time. So we need to respect those people who have submitted on time and we need to give some less marks who have not submitted on time. Okay, if there is a genuine reason, fine. But if it is not, then we need to. Otherwise, there won't be any difference. Okay, so here the embedded system, what he's telling is that a late answer is a wrong answer. So exam time, application form, those all are deadlines. If you don't follow, then you are not going to take up the examination. So after deadline, if you apply for any job, whether you will get, no. Right. So don't always think that after deadline also if I submit it is okay. There is a difference. Okay, there is always a difference. Right. Airbag control system and anti-lock brake system of vehicles are typical example of hard real-time system. See, I have said only ATM machine. Now they are going with this anti-lock brake system and airbag control system. See, if accident occurs and if there is a airbag present and if it is not opening, then what is the use? What is the result? That person will be not alive, right? Maximum number of time. See, if airbag opens, 99, 100%, the man will be saved. It is not the case. But 99% it will be saved if the airbag is opening. That is the thing. And that is why now whatever four-wheeler you go and purchase, mandatorily they will be having airbag. That is the thing. Next one example which is taken is the anti-lock brake system, right? So if you apply brake and if there is no brake applied to the vehicle, then also you will face the real hard consequences. So these are the two important systems which will be called as a hard real-time system. So you can see any delay in the deployment of the airbags makes the life of the passengers under threat. Okay, that is the thing which you have to be careful. Hard real-time system does not implement the virtual memory model for the handling the memory. This eliminates the delay in swapping in and out of the code corresponding to the task and to and from the primary memory. So when you're using this hard real time, you cannot use a virtual memory where it will go and fetch the data. Okay. If I want to apply a brake, if I want to open a airbag, so it will go and ask the processor, take the permission, then come back. So within that 3 to 4 seconds, everything goes in a different way. See, accident cases, it is only that half an hour afterwards it will not happen. Accident cases, it is only that very tiny seconds, right? In millisecond or millisecond, the accident will occur. Okay, during that period only you should be very active. Okay, you may be thinking that when I'm driving during night time, especially, so if I blink my eye also, then you may be facing a different consequences. They're just taking a nap, then all over. Right? That is why you should be very cautious with these things. So for those things, if I store memory in the virtual part, then it is very hard. Okay, so it should be in a real time, it should be responding. Right? Most of the hard real time system are automatic and does not contain a human in the loop. Right? So whatever this dangerous kind of a things will be there, right? For real time, it is all done. It is a automatic, right? There will be no human in the interpretation where human will be giving input. So for human, what it is that if I think for 2 seconds, then already accident will occur. That is a thing which you have to be very, very careful. Okay, for these kind of application. The presence of human in the loop for task introduces unexpected delays in the task execution. Next comes is the soft real-time. Real-time operating system, they do not guarantee meeting deadlines, but offers the best effort to meet the deadlines are referred to as the soft real-time system. See, whether it is a hard real-time, whether it is a real-time, whether it is a soft real-time, for everything there will be a deadline. But the only thing is that which will have an effect. That is the most important thing, which will have immediate effect that we call it as a hard real time, which will have lesser effect, we call it as a soft real time. That is the only difference which you can find. So means missing deadlines for tasks are acceptable for a soft real time system if the frequency of deadline missing is within the compliance limit of the quality of service. Okay, so we will assign a test for you, and within the deadline, you are not submitting. Okay, it was not possible for you to submit. And even then, if you try, it will tell turn in on so and so second. Right, but we will ask you to post or forward your IA test to the mail ID. Now, mail ID, when you have sent, that timing is also very important. Right? So it was 11 o'clock before you need to submit it. That was a time duration which was there. But what happens? You have not submitted, you have forgotten that one, and evening you will remember. And evening when you forward that mail, so it will tell that you have received this mail at 4 o'clock. So my deadline was 11 o'clock. I am receiving your mail by 4 o'clock, and that 4 o'clock within that 11 to 4, what you have done, we will be not aware. So what we will do, we will be thinking that you have copied or something you have done. We will be not assuming that you have forgot. Okay, we will be thinking that you have wantedly delayed. And at 4 o'clock, if you send, those paper also will be not evaluated. So I should have a proper reason why it was sent at 4 o'clock. Right? So if it is acceptable, then it will be evaluated, otherwise it will be not evaluated. One of the students from your class also yesterday he said that, sir, I have missed the deadline. I am submitting once again. Kindly accept my assignment. Then I said accepted. Okay, because sometimes we need to give some. These things are possible for your assignments and quiz, but it is not applicable for your IA. Okay, for IA and all those things, it is not acceptable. Right. So soft real-time example, one of the example is automatic teller machine, which is your ATM, is a typical example of a soft real-time. So I said hard real-time as an ATM machine, but the deadline, if it is not there also, it will be not having any effect. Right. But in the hard real-time also, sorry, in the soft real-time also, I have inputted the thing, I have entered everything, money it has been not displayed, means it has been not outputted. And half an hour, if money outputs, it comes, then what happens? I will be not there in ATM for 30 minutes, right? So who is the next person who will come there? So he will be having that information. Is it or no? And even then also, so if you get that money also, then what happens? The one who has lost the money, he will go and complain to the bank that I had entered the money but I have not received. One second. You are able to hear me?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what I do is that I had gone to, I'm taking one real-time example. I went to an ATM, I inserted card and everything, but output has been not displayed. Means money it has not come. Okay. So I waited for 5 minutes. I wanted to close that thing, but I was not able to do that one. Then what happens? I came out of that one. And when I checked my internet banking on in my mobile phone, amount was deducted, but I have not received. So what I will do, I will go to the bank and I tell them this ATM machine had a problem. I was not able to take the money, but the amount is deducted. Then he will check in the portal. Sir, it was taken, but it was released by the ATM machine, but we will check what has happened. Then he will ask the watchman, or he will bring the camera. He'll bring the video what has happened over there, and he will see what is the thing it is happened. Okay. Then afterwards he will come to know that the next person who has entered has taken that money. So they will contact that person and they will able to decode that process. But it will take some amount of time. Okay. It is not like that it will be done immediately. It will take some amount of time identifying on all those stuff. Okay, this is one example. Without, because here there is no life danger kind of a thing happened. Okay, if it is 500 or 1,000 rupees, they will not go to bank only. They will tell leave. Why? Because going to bank, identifying, making these things, so more time it is needed. Okay, but instead what they will do, they will leave it and they will go. This is real time. It has happened to me, and I lost 500 rupees because of this thing. Okay, an audio video playback system. An audio video playback system is another example for soft real-time system. No potential damage arises if a simple sample comes late by fraction of a second for a playback. Next things is in the embedded system is about the task, processes, and threads. Okay, so you will be knowing what is task. You will be knowing what is process. Now here one word we are going to learn, which is nothing but your thread. Now threads are nothing but the same process or application running multiple times. Okay, that we call it as a thread. And this thread is associated with the memories. That is a major part in this part. So what is task, what is process, and what are threads? So those things, how it is related to an embedded system. So that we are going to observe now. First one is the task. The term task refers to something that needs to be done. If the operating system context a task is defined as a program in execution and the related information maintained by the operation system for the program. Task is also known as a job in the operating system context. A program or part of its execution is also called a process. The term task, job, process refer to the same entity in the operating system context, and most often they are used interchangeably. Okay, so you are doing some running some process. Okay, some running some task. Means what, you are doing some operation so that if you do all these things properly, then you will be having a very good output. See, if you write assignments properly, if you take up the quiz properly, if you write IA properly, if your attendance is good, then obviously your IA marks will be above 45. And if you don't follow all these parameters, then obviously it will be moderate or minimum, or it will be zero also. Is it or no? So if you are regular, then everything is possible. So we have to build some process. We have to build some task. See, every time I have to invite new people, intimate new people. But real time, if I don't put any messages and if I wait, so you hardly see around 10 to 15 people joining the class because they will forget, because that task or that procedure or that process, it is not inherent onto you. Okay, so we need to intimate you, then only you will join, otherwise you will not. That is the case which has happened now. Okay, that is because we have to build that process in what you call inherent this onto each of you people, and it should not come from me, it should come from your end only. So I wanted to attend class, I need to understand, that feeling it should come to you, then only you will learn and then only you will pass. Okay, otherwise it is very difficult. So that is what he is speaking about a task. A task in general term, in my own terms, what I will tell is that execution of the different types of small things to get the output, 100% output you should receive. So if you do all these small things properly, then your result will be 100% good. If you don't follow this process task properly, then 100% your results will be very poor. That is what I can tell. And on an average, if I take, if you execute all the tasks, then your output also will be very good. If you don't execute all these tasks, your output will be not 100%. Okay. A process is a program or a part of it in execution. Process is also known as instance of a program in execution. Multiple instances of the same program can execute simultaneously. A process requires various system resources like CPU for executing the process, memory for storing the code corresponding to the process, and associate variables, IO devices for information exchange. Now I have built a process, I want the assignment. So I cannot check from USN 1 to USN 55 or USN 60. Those who are submitted first, I will be checking that one. See, in this process also, you can see I have given a quiz. So that quiz will give me answer who has submitted first. Okay. So I have this program is running parallel to everyone. And whoever is answering first will be evaluated first. That is the thing which I can tell. Okay. A process is a sequential in execution, and it is a concurrent processing which will be taken place. So to understand this, how this process will work, so we should know about the structure. So what is the structure it will follow, how it should be initialized. So there is a block diagram which is given here. So we'll be learning that. The concept of process leads to concurrent execution, a pseudo-parallelism of tasks, and thereby the efficient utilization of the CPU and other system resources are required. Concurrent execution is achieved through the sharing of CPU among the process. A process mimics a processor in properties and holds a set of register processor status, a program counter to point the next executable instruction, a stack for holding the local variable associated with the process. See, I wanted to know what is this process, how it will work. So I should be knowing who is working, who is next, and everything it should be done prior. Okay. Example, I can take this Covaxin vaccination drive. So schedule the slot, you will be given the slot, and when I go there, you will be given a token number, and based on that token number only, you will be vaccinated. So who comes first? They will be processed. Right? It is of that type. So it is not that immediately I will go, I will take a vaccination. You need to wait there. It will be next to who is on the line. All these parameters it is going to be checked. And to do this one only, we have these parameters like a stack pointer, like a program counter, like a register, which will store all this data and a process it will be running. And this can be visualized as shown in the figure. And this is the figure which will be there, which we call it as a process. So we have a stack pointer, we have a working register, we have a status register, we have a program counter. And this program counter core memory corresponding to the process. So these are the some important terms which you should remember when you are functioning with the process. And the structure it is of this. Right? This is a structure of a process. A process which inherits all the properties of the CPU can be considered as a virtual processor, awaiting its turn to have its properties switched into the physical processor. When the processor gets in its turn, its register and the program counter register becomes mapped to the physical register of the CPU. So we have this stack memory, we have this data memory, and we have this core memory, means where you are going to store this process. From a memory perspective, the memory occupied by the process is segregated into three regions: stack memory, data memory, core memory. So whenever the stack memory is at any output immediately you want to reflect, then we will go for the stack memory. Data memory, the data which you are feeding should be stored separately. So that will be accessed by this data memory. Core memory is your OS program which will be running. Right. So that is what he is saying. Stack memory holds all temporary data such as variable local to the process. Data memory holds all global data for the process. Contains the program code corresponding to the process. This is how it has been segregated. This is a memory organization of the process. Process states and state transition. Okay, so what does it do? The process traverses through a series of states during its transition from the newly created state to the terminated state. So, initial when it has begun, what is the process it will do, right? Which memory location addresses it is going to utilize. All this calculation, finally my output where it should be displayed. And this we call it as a process state to the state transition, and to that particularly we call it as a terminated state, which will give the result. The process traverses through a series of states during its transition from the newly created state to the terminated state. The cycle through which a process changes its state from a newly created to the execution completed is known as the process life cycle. So it will be in the idle state, it will be in the ready state, it will be in the running state, it will be in the exit state. And that cycle we call it as a process life cycle. Everything it will be there. Okay. From when you taken a birth until you die. So this is a life cycle. So whatever you are going to learn during, because initial years you will be learning alphabets for a period of time, words, sentences, right, paragraph, phrases, chapter, text, right, thesis, and all those things. It will come into picture. So this is a life cycle which will tell. For embedded system also there is a life cycle. What input it will give, what process it will give, what is the output, and what is the lifespan of that particular process. That also is a valid thing which you should be always aware of. The various states through which a process traverses through it during the process life cycle indicates the current status of the process with respect to time, and also provides information what is allowed to do next. Okay. The transition of a process from one state to another is known as the state transition. So figure represents the various state transition associated with a processor. So what are the state? So you can see created, you can see ready, you can see running, you can see completed, and you can see blocked. Okay. Sometimes it will be there. So you might be knowing all these stuff. Okay. So I created teams. I included all of you. I started the session. I want to remove some people. I can be blocked. So this is the flow chart which you can observe. One second. So created, inserted into memory, ready state, scheduled for execution, then running. If it is not ready for this one, interpreted for preempted, again it can be resent from this point. So when it is created, it should go to the ready state. And if it is not satisfying, it can be again go back to this created date. Okay. For ready to running, schedule for execution. If it is not ready, again go for the pre-ready. So if it is running and waiting for some IO part, so it can be blocked. So this is a flowchart which can be done. And once this everything is running fine and everything it is going fine, then execution is completed. We will start this part. So major state or events which you can find in this process is the create, ready, running, block, and completed. So this is a general process state and transition representation which is available. And this is applicable for all the embedded system devices. Only the thing is that the initialization, the processing, it may vary. Output also it may vary. Right? Sometimes output will be rotating a motor, sometimes output will be a display, sometimes output will be a buzzer kind of a thing. Sometimes input may be a keypad, sometimes input may be a sensor. Right? Sometimes processing will take 10 minutes, sometimes processing will take 20 minutes. To make a call, I'm not taking 20 minutes. To run a washing machine, I'm taking 20 minutes. To deep freeze that one, it will take 20 minutes. I cannot deep freeze with 1 minute. Okay, so these are the different things which you can see. Changes may occur at the input, changes may occur at the output, changes may occur in the process running. So these are the things which you should be very particular. Okay, process states and state transmission. Okay, the state at which a process is being created is referred to as a created state. The operating system recognizes the process in the created state, but no resources are allocated to the process. Okay, the state when the process is incepted into a memory and awaiting for a process time for execution is known as a ready state. At this stage, the process is placed in the ready list queue maintained by the OS. Say always it will not be ready. So you should be make queue. Okay. The state wherein the source code instruction corresponds to the process is being executed is called as the running state. Running state is the state at which process is executed happens. Okay. Then we have block state or a wait state. So still my input have not occurred. So you should be in a wait state. So block state and wait state, there are two different things. Okay. So block state means I don't want them to, because you take about application of mobile phone. You are having call blocking, you are having call waiting. So when I make a call, okay, one of my friend I made it as block. So even if he calls to me, that it will be not displayed because that number I have blocked. Suppose say if I am in a call and that some person is making a call to me, so I will be knowing that call is waiting. So indicating that that number I have to he has to wait for certain period of time. Okay, so that option is there. No, so that is also there for the block state or the wait state. So explanation, you can just read on that one, it will be very clear. A state where the process completes its execution is known as the completed state. Right. So next comes here process management. So what is this process management is that process management deals with the creation of a process, setting up the memory space for the process, loading the processor's code in the memory space, allocating system resources, setting up the process control block for the process for process termination and deletion. So you'll come to know how this process management will takes place. Okay. So this is how this process management it will evolve. Right. So create a process. For that creating a process, again you should set up the memory because it needs to access or perform. Then load the processor code into the memory space, then allocate this into the system resources, setting up the PCB for the process. Then once if it is completed, it should be terminated or deleted and it should go back to the main program. So we are dealing with a process as a sub program with the main program. Now example, if I take a laptop, main program is processor. And in this I am opening multiple tasks like a window task, like a Word document, like a browser, like a execution file. So these are different tasks and process which will be executed. Next part is your thread. So what is this thread? How are these threads are executed? What is the process involved there? So these things we'll be covering in the next session. Okay. So I'll just stop the recording.